So Meredith holds up her damn phone like, listen, everyone will listen to his Angie K's husband's interview where they talk about my son. She was getting Jerry Springer aggressive to Whitney. She's like, don't touch my phone. No. Lisa Barlow's in the back like, oh my God, I need a Diet Coke. This is getting very serious.
If you like what you see, come and get it with me. I know you deserve all you want. Cause your heart's made of gold. But don't wait till you're old. If you want it, I get you some.
This show is so good. And this last episode especially was like Housewives perfection. So you have within this week's episode, you have so much going on. You have Angie K having another moment with her dad, talking about the loss of her mom at a young age, giving us more insight into that and how it affected her and her brothers and sisters when her mom passed away very, very young. While Angie was like 8 years old, and it seems like she passed away due to alcoholism and addiction. And so Angie starting to come to terms with that. So you have like this intense but meaningful moment where you're learning more about, you know, the housewife. It's very much them opening up their lives. But then you also have, you know, you're seeing Angie and how that experience and how she mothers and how mothering her daughter, she now sees what she missed out in not having a mom. But she has a really close bond with her dad, and her dad are having dinner. And I really, maybe it's just being, you know, a person who is in recovery to, you know, alcoholism in my family, but it was very moving to see her dad legitimize her feelings and her also, you know, still be able to express, you know, this anger she holds to her mom and how she does miss having that mother figure, while also, you know, the dad not getting defensive or saying she shouldn't believe that, or, you know, him, you know, basically saying, you know, you have every right to feel that way and I'm sorry. And then her also saying, but I had you and this was great. So I really liked that, those scenes. And learning more about Angie K and her cute little Pamela dad. Says Lydia from Beetlejuice called she wants her bangs back. Don't even insult Lydia from Beetlejuice because her bangs were far better than this. Far, far better. We go from that to then, you know, we've had Mary Cosby dealing with this issue, another serious issue of her own son, Robert Jr., his alleged addiction, and with some pretty serious stuff, you know, possibly fentanyl being one of the things, and her trying to navigate this. It's like the realest we've ever seen Mary Cosby in the past, as she kind of we're not seeing her church really represented. And we know that there are lawsuits going on that her and her estranged husband, Robert Sr., have against certain members that worked within the church. So that's a whole mess in itself. And I do think there's going to be a documentary down the road that'll come out about Mary Cosby and the church. And I don't think it'll probably make Mary Cosby look that great, but it is refreshing to see a Mary Cosby that seems to be, despite going through this, you know, she seems to be open to sharing, you know, this struggle. And also it's like a lighter, which is strange because she's going through something, but I also think it's because her friendship with Angie K. And so we see Mary participating in more than she has, and almost a somewhat humbled version of Mary Cosby, which has been nice. And then we get to see Heather talking with Lisa Barlow regarding the trip that Heather wasn't invited on, Bronwyn's 10-year anniversary trip. They took a trip to Palm Springs. Bronwyn paid for everything. Her and her Krabby Patty husband, Todd, who's like too old and too crotchety, in my opinion, to be married to her. She's like fun and 39, but I digress. And obviously Heather wasn't invited because Heather seems to have a vendetta against Bronwyn, the newest housewife joining the cast this year. And I think Heather has become the new Jen Shaw. At this point, she just looks like a bully. You know, she's coming at Bronwyn, and Bronwyn is really trying to be friends with this woman. They tried to have like a kumbaya moment at Bronwyn's house, the episode before the trip, or maybe the episode of the trip. And Heather's just like a freaking pit bull coming at her. And it just seems so undeserving when we've seen Heather simp for so many seasons for Jen Shaw, even simp for Meredith, even simp for Lisa Barlow. And now she's like, I'm protective of my group of friends. Girl, what are you talking about? So now you're just projecting and attacking people who don't deserve it because you're a bad judge of character. With Jen Shaw, you stood by her side. She punched you in the face. You stood by her innocence, even though all signs pointed to guilty, defrauding elderly. And you're like, she's my friend. It just, Heather seems to be, she wants to fight people who she deems are easier, you know, not the real people that she's mad at. So she's went after Whitney, I believe, for this reason in the past, her cousin. And now she's going after Bronwyn. However, I don't think she realized that Bronwyn was going to be liked by the fans, and that Bronwyn was going to fight back the way she has, you know. Evelyn says, I can't believe I used to I know Heather years ago, for real. For real. Even Mary clocked in, you know, as Irene is saying, I'm glad she clocked in to tell Heather, like, hello, Bronwyn is trying to be your friend. I know you're not seeing that, but she's actually trying to be your friend. Okay. So we get Lisa Barlow and Heather talking about this, and they're at Kimosabi, which is the Kyle Richards hat store. I'm like, what are they doing at Kimosabi? Have this moment of Lisa sharing that Todd, the Todd father, Bronwyn's husband, was going to kick her out of the trip if she didn't start getting along with Bronwyn. And yes, it was a little weird because it's like, sir, your wife's on the Housewives. But he paid for this trip, and he's like, I don't want any funny business, you know? And he's like, okay, Sonny, don't know funny business. So he was going to kick, and he told John Barlow, like, you better tell your wife to shape up or we got to ship out. And I'm like, oh, shut up, Todd, you're ruining it. So then Lisa tells that to Heather, and Heather's like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. And as Heather's trying to be like a badass, well, I'll teach Bronwyn. She makes some comment and she cheers Lisa, and then she spills on herself. And it's so Heather gay. Like, you're trying to act tough, like you're a studio gangster. You're not tough. Okay, we saw you pander. We saw you like literally take a black eye to Jen Shaw and simp for her for so long. I don't like Todd. I don't like Bronwyn's husband. I think he's boring. I think he's crotchety. I think he dulls her shine. And he is, you know, a lot older than her. I think like 26 years or more older than her. So not quite Erica Jane and Tom Girardi, but I'm getting those same vibes when he talks with Bronwyn, when they have discussions. It's like, you know, the age difference is so big that he's talking to her like he's some kind of grandfather figure or father figure. He's talking down to her, reprimanding her, and it's not fun to see. So he then has a conversation with Bronwyn on their patio, and she comes out like, hi, Todd father. And he's just like, so they sit outside, and Todd basically tells his wife, who was fighting off Lisa Barlow and whoever
what the
whole time during her 10-year anniversary trip, that I've never seen you behave like that. It's unbecoming. And I'm like, oh shit. This is just wrapped in so much misogynist, patriarchal bullshit of a man being like, oh, you need to be, it's not becoming for a lady to have emotions or feelings. Men can yell, we can fight, but ladies should never. And I'm like, shut up, Todd. Go back to 1939 where you belong, because Bronwyn can stick up for herself. She can assert herself, and her raising her voice or getting mad does not somehow define how feminine or how much of a woman she is. Like, shut up, Todd.
Shut up.
You may be a part of the greatest generation, but there's nothing great about you, sir. I was just like, ew, ew, ew. I was getting all the icks from him saying this. I was like, ew, gross. I hate it. Let her have her feelings. And she's like, oh my God, I can't have emotions. And then we cut to her, you know, confessional. And she's like, he doesn't want me to have emotions in public or in private. So he just wants her to be like the dutiful wife who's just like, yes, Todd, whatever you say. I don't have any emotions. I'm just here to spend your money and look pretty. And I get that's kind of the transactional relationship you enter into when you have this big age gap and you have one person who comes in really, really rich and one person not as rich and younger and beautiful. It's basically, it's seen on the outside world and a lot of times by the people in it themselves as you're kind of marrying this man for his money and this security, and he's marrying you for your youth and your beauty. However, like we've seen in many of these relationships in the public eye, one, if not both of those things usually fade or fail. The man loses his money or the woman is no longer young and beautiful in their eyes, because everyone's going to age. Doesn't mean you're not still beautiful, but a man a lot older who marries a lot younger of a woman, not necessarily everybody, but these men with money, it tends to be that they're just buying youth and beauty in their spouse. And it's like a status symbol or something, which is what we've seen. And then Bronwyn says, you know, she wants Todd's approval. She's like, I need Todd's approval. It means a lot to me. And when she said, then it might mean everything to me, I'm like, oh my God, that's so Erica Jane coded.
This is a big deal, baby.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's great to have financial support, but having someone's emotional support, it's something that I wish I had more of growing up.
Thank you for saying that. Thanks.
I really.
That's all I ever wanted. Thank you.
It's exactly what Erica Girardi would say about Tom Girardi, and just very unhealthy. So he's reprimanding her yet again on camera, not supporting his wife. It's so unbecoming and very, very boring. So then we get to this Housewives party, which literally they should show this as like a class in how, I mean, I don't want them to, because I don't want people to just try to recreate this, but it was it should really be shown as like, this is how you do a party. We don't need all the extra people around. You just need your main characters and your friends of, like the Britneys, and you sit down and all the grievances are on the table. So Mary Cosby has like a luncheon for the ladies, and she has this breakfast at Tiffany's lunch. And so they all try to show up looking like Audrey Hepburn. And this is what Meredith came up with. Yeah, I thought she took her hair when she put it in a bun and just pushed it forward for bangs. But apparently these are clip-ons. I don't know where she clipped them to. Her anus, because why are they pushed back so far? This reminded me of, remember when Karen Huger's wig was falling off? Let me see if I can get a picture. I was like, oh my God. This is just like that. Like it is like way back there. Poor Karen. And then they're trying to like, oh, Karen, we gotta get your bangs forward. And she's like, oh my goodness. And they're all helping. But that's what it reminded me. I was like, this is a Karen Huger, the wig is slipping off situation. Or then she's like, I'm gonna put the sunglasses on it, like a headband. I'm going to put the glasses on my forehead. Anything I can do to get rid of the 45 head I got going on. I mean, I got a 25 head, so I get it. But these are good bangs, Karen. But whatever's happening here, it was just slipping. You know who did have good hair? It was Bronwyn, who looks like Audrey Hepburn. I mean, Bronwyn looked stunning. Even her, she made the little Audrey Hepburn bangs work. I was like, yes, Bronwyn, we're Meredith. Those bangs were wearing her, and you got to wear the bangs. No, Meredith. What are you doing? This is shameful that Bronwyn got it so right and you got it so wrong. When Whitney walked in and said, my nightmare is coming to the party and looking like Meredith. That's what Whitney said. Yeah, Bronwyn did the bangs right, Miss T. She looked stunning. You know, Mary had everything was like very pearls, breakfast. Everyone pretty much dressed for breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn, for the theme of the dinner party, the brunch. However, then Lisa Barlow came in like her Versace or whatever, Fendi, I don't know, pantsuit that Mary had already wore to Watch What Happens Live. So Mary's like, bitch stole my look. And Lisa Barlow said, oh no, I got this right off the runway. Mary probably got hers at Borgdorf, whatever the hell the store's called. So she had like a teal. I mean, I guess it was kind of like Tiffany, Tiffany's, the jewelry. It was kind of like that color. And then Whitney came in and she didn't do bangs, but she did do a headband. And then I thought Angie K looked really gorgeous. Brittany, we don't know. Well, she showed up late, which Mary was like, okay, you're going to show up late. And people are like, we're surprised, Mary, that you actually invited Brittany. She said, well, I just wanted her to know that I am not poor, because before she had said that, oh, I was poor too. And Mary's like, that's not what I said. I didn't say I was poor. And then everyone kind of laughs because it's such a Mary Cosby thing to say. So when Brittany finally does show up, Meredith's like, for my family, did you get a different invite? Did Mary send you a different invite, Brittany? And Mary's like, no, I gave her the same one as everyone else. Yeah. That's just what she chose to wear. So this party is, Whitney asks, can we break bread? And Mary's like, yes. Whitney's like, can we break bread, Mary? Is that okay? And Mary goes, oh, yes, we can break bread. And immediately they're serving Meredith's caviar, And so she's like, we're starting with my caviar. It's the dingleberry blend of my caviar. We're like, okay, great. And then immediately Heather Gay starts off the party and says, I'm so glad everyone was invited to this party, Mary, unlike the Palm Desert trip. So shots fired right away at Bronwyn. And Bronwyn's like, really, Heather, do you want to do this? Because you don't want to open this door. And Heather goes, oh, bitch, open the door. I don't care. So Heather immediately is coming for Bronwyn. And Heather ends up saying, I only know 3 things about your husband. He collects Starbucks gift card, or not gift cards, Starbucks mugs every place he goes. He's an asshole to women or to people that he wants to leave his trip. And then I forget what the first thing is. Maybe like, you don't have a prenup, because Heather is very, very much wanting to talk about how Bronwyn doesn't have a prenup with the Todd father, allegedly. And so that's when Bronwyn realizes, oh, Lisa Barlow, real cute, Lisa, you told her about that. And Lisa's like, what? What do you mean, me? Why am I getting it? It's because Heather wouldn't know about the kicking you out unless you told her. there would be nobody. So they're kind of going back and forth. Heather just is like a dog with a bone. She will not drop this hatred she has for Bronwyn that seems just weird. Why would you have this? And then Brittany wants to chime in, and she wants to be like, first of all, well, I wasn't invited either. So she shows up late, and now she's like, Mary Cosby was the only one this week who called me and invited me to something. And Lisa Barlow says to her, well, I'm surprised you were mad about not being invited to the trip. I didn't think you'd want to go. And Brittany's like, I would want to go. And then Brittany has an issue. She's like, you guys didn't even tell me, and I hung out with you. And she looks over at Angie K, and at Angie K and Heather had come over to her house for it was like Mormon prayer. Brittany says, you guys were at my house. I invited you over for a very special Mormon Sunday night prayer time, and you couldn't even invite me or tell me about the trip or anything. And she says, and you, Angie, you brought wine, and you should know better. And Whitney says, well, okay, we get that Mormons aren't supposed to drink alcohol. However, you're drinking champagne right now. And Brittany goes, it's different. It's different. I'm only drinking it on a television show that all my family's going to see. But it's different when you come with a bottle of wine to my house. And then Angie can't take it anymore. Angie's just like, oh, really, Chick? Is this what we're doing? She's like, listen, I don't think bringing wine to Mormon night was a big deal, since you are hooking up with 3 different dudes and you're drinking right now. And I was like, damn, Angie. And then it cuts to Brittany opening up to Angie K about how she's dating 3 different dudes. So she's like, you're doing 3 dudes and you're drinking alcohol right now. So me, I didn't think it was a big deal. We have it during communion at our church. I've seen you drink a bunch. Not a big deal. So Brittany is just getting checked, and it's embarrassing for her. But she was really giving Sheena vibes, being like, what about me?
You guys, seriously, what about me? Like this, what about you?
What about how I feel about this thing that has nothing to do with me? So they're going back and forth. It's Lisa versus Bronwyn, Heather versus Bronwyn, Brittany basically versus everybody. Mary Cosby's trying to explain to Heather, like, Bronwyn does want to be friends with you. And then you have Meredith coming in with the stuff about Sean, Angie K's husband, the podcast he did, talking allegedly about Brooks Marks. And Sean's overall point isn't wrong. And Brooks is on the show and he's an adult. So I don't like this. You can't bring up my family or the children. Brooks has been on the show. Your husband literally is wearing a Brooks Marks hat at the dinner at the trip where he called Whitney a biatch. There's a lot of talk of that, like, should he have said that? No. Because Meredith was behind a rumor saying that Angie K's husband is gay. So let's say he is. Let's say he's bi. Let's say he's pan. Let's say they have an agreement. Let's say he's got dudes on the side or something. You bringing that up doesn't look like an advocate for the LGBTQIA community. You then would be outing somebody. And then you using it as like a weapon, as something like bad, like, oh, he's gay. Doesn't look good when you yourself tout yourself to be this representative for the gay community. So he's basically saying, yeah, and with a gay son, would you want someone doing that to your son? I mean, Angie K's husband has said the rumors weren't true, but we see this tired rumor over and over every Housewives franchise. It's like, your husband's gay. Every time they get in a fight, that's what they go to. Your husband's gay. He's having sex with men. You're like, okay, cool. We've heard it a million times. Yes, they didn't say anything about Brooks. He said something about you, Meredith, as you who brought your son on a television show as an adult and openly talked about his sexuality and promoted his businesses, and yourself talk about being an advocate and an ally, and you're winning awards for, being a representative, in the LGBTQIA community, for you to then go on the show you're on and out another lady's husband as like a way to attack her and him isn't a good look. It's just basic. So then Meredith's like, let me play it for you. Let me play it for you. So she holds up her phone like, here's what the interview son. And then Whitney, so Meredith holding up. I'm like, oh my God, Meredith. So Meredith holds up her damn phone like, listen, everyone will listen to Angie K's husband's interview where they talk about my son. It's like, ma'am, your husband's never home. He's in Ohio or some shit. And he's calling women biatches. So you have bigger problems than this. She's like, listen to him. And just me listening to the little snippet, I was like, oh, I'm more on Angie K's husband's side now than ever. Girl, stop. Just own the fact that you went after Angie K's marriage and you said, that's how we got the rumors and the nastiness. The rumors and you want me to talk about husbands? I'll talk about husbands. You came for her family, but now she can't talk about your family because you're literally the one that came for Angie K's husband. You had some drinks and you said the rumors and nastiness. You want to talk about husbands? Talk about husbands.
The rumors and nastiness about her? Well, we can do that. You know what? You want me to go there with her husband?
You want me to go there with the husbands? We'll go there with the husbands. I mean, that all is because, everything, that whole saying, all the fun we've had with it is because of the rumors and nastiness that you talked about someone else's husband being gay. Well, you're supposed to be an advocate and an ally for the gay community.
Where's Meredith Marks when I need her?
The rumors, the nastiness, the rumors, the nastiness. You want me to go there with her husband? I can go there. You can leave.
Yes, Graphics, great point. Graphics says it's Kyle Richards syndrome. I can talk about everyone else, but you can't talk about me or my family because I say so. That's what it's giving. We didn't say we want to listen to this shit. And so she's playing it. So Whitney grabs it and Meredith freaks out. Talk about aggressive and violent. Meredith gets up and like, give me my phone back. That's my phone. Give it back to mine. No. She needs a bathtub. Look at the poor guy working in the back at Mary's party. Oh my gosh. And what a fun edit this episode had of Mary getting the party ready and her poor, the staff that has to put the party together. And she's like, what's that? This guy's face is like, oh my God, I did not want that. And she is, look at Meredith is getting so mad. And Whitney's like, turn it down. As Meredith's like, no, we have to listen to this whole thing. Angie K's husband is horrible and he's wrong. He's wrong. Sure, Whitney shouldn't have touched the phone, but this was like extra. Meredith also shouldn't have held it up at the table in people's faces and played it, So both in the wrong, but Meredith is like freaking out and getting she was getting Jerry Springer aggressive to Whitney. She's like, don't touch my phone. No, Lisa Barlow's in the back like, oh my God, I need a Diet Coke. This is getting very serious. This is crazy. Right out of control, Yvonne. So out of control. So then Mary starts yelling. She's like, stop. It's my house. Be quiet, be quiet. And Meredith won't stop screaming. They're screaming back and forth. And Meredith especially will not stop. And Mary says, if you're not going to stop screaming, then you can leave. And Meredith, again, you are the originator of the you can leave. You have screamed that at people at dinner parties just last season.
You can leave.
No, she's all offended now. I'm like, how dare you, Mary? I'll leave. She gets her jacket. She puts I'll leave. Her bangs are sliding off her head, giving the Karen Huger 45 head thing going on. And I'll leave. And Mary's like, listen to me, Meredith. I didn't say you have to go. I said, if you can't be quiet and respect my house, then you can go. But if you can just calm down, I'm having this party. And Mary's like, no, I'm leaving. And she gets her jacket and she storms out as Meredith Marks does, as she's like the victim of something. And I'm like, I don't know what Meredith thinks she's the victim of. Her storming out and getting so upset with her clip-on bangs that aren't clipped in the right spot. And then she leaves Mary's party and she's like, in the after show, I think she was talking about how there's just a different feeling with her and Mary. And she's holding probably a lot of resentment because of Mary's now close friendship with Angie K. And obviously Meredith and Angie K there's no love lost there. literally can't stand each other. And so she's just like, I'm sure you and Angie have talked about me ad nauseum, about my family. So she believes that now Mary is kind of coming after. But before this all happens, we do see within the Bronwyn and Heather, we see Heather after kind of doubling down. So Bronwyn, you know, there's discussion about her trip and them going back and forth and Heather going so hard at Bronwyn. But then there is talk about the coach flights that people had to take back and how Lisa Barlow was just up in arms. And Lisa's like, I wasn't the only one. Angie, you did not like having to fly coach. You said stuff. And then it cuts to Angie K talking to Lisa, her and Sean, her husband, talking. I finally remembered his name again. I forgot it for a second. Talking about having to fly home and Angie being like, where's your seat? Where's John Barlow sitting? And Lisa's just like, oh my God, 17A, 19A. I haven't flown coach since college. Horrible. So we don't really see what Lisa's talking about of Angie really talking shiz on the coach. Angie said, I didn't say anything. I just knew you weren't going to like flying coach. And Bronwyn's like, I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. You know, I have this nice trip. I gave you gifts. Okay. I got a house for you guys, a beautiful house. I got you a private plane there and you can't just do coach. Then Heather gets involved and Heather's like, well, if flying coach is no big deal, then why didn't you and your husband fly coach? Why'd you book yourself in first class? And Bronwyn so quickly comes back and says, because it's my credit card, bitch. And I was like, I mean, yeah. Bronwyn says, I actually got a flight for you, a first class ticket. And Heather's like, how would you get a flight for me? How would you even do that? Nobody knows my birthday. How would you get my information? I didn't give it to you. And Bronwyn says, I bought you, I'll show you the proof. I bought you a first class ticket for you to come. And then when things went sideways, when we were supposed to make up, but I did want you originally to come on the trip. And I got your information from someone else. And Heather goes, that's impossible. Nobody knows my real birthday. I don't tell anybody. So nobody in this cast knows her birth year. Even the producers in her confessional ask her. And she says, mind your own effing business. So I'm sure someone can find it, her real birthday. But she said she's been hiding it. And I've seen some people online make the point, like how easily Heather is able to lie about even the birthday thing. Her birthday and the Jen Shaw punch, among other things with Jen Shaw. You're like, oh, okay. Maybe Heather's been the villain all along. So they're going back and forth and it's just, it's good TV at this point. Then Mary drops a bomb when they're about Brittany's guy, who is this Osmond. He's like an Osmond nephew or something to the Osmonds, Donnie and Marie, the Osmond family. But he's like a nobody Osmond, but still has the last name. And it's been her on again, off again boyfriend or best friend. Nobody knows because it's a hot mess. Mary says, oh no, this Osmond dude, he's been in my DMs. Who's a hoe? Who's a hoe? So Jared Osmond slid into Mary Cosby's DMs and they're like, Mary, are you going to tell Brittany? Are you going to tell anyone? She was like, Mary's like, no, I got too much on my plate right now. And she does with her son and everything going on with their church and wherever Robert Sr. is. So she's like, no. But Jared Osmond, who's supposed to be with Brittany, is slipping in to Mary Cosby's DMs and is saying, my amazing friend Mary, I hope you're doing so well. And this is March 17th at 12:58 a.m. So he's a drunken DM here on Instagram. He says, I hope you're doing well. I really enjoyed getting to know you the other night. So is this after the party at Angie K's house when he showed up unexpectedly while Brittany was on a date with that other guy, Aaron, that everyone thought was Jared? I really enjoyed getting to know you the other night. What a quality and amazing human you are. What a pleasure it was to meet you. But before then, he says at 11:29 p.m. and then at 12:58 a.m. is that one I just read. But the one before that on March 17th at 11:29 p.m. says, Mary, it was such a pleasure. I think you're amazing. You have a blessed day as well. You are one of God's greatest daughters or something you can feel it. I was like, sir, get out of Mary Cosby's DMs, you weirdo. You're one of God's greatest daughters. You can feel it. What? So he's sliding into Mary's DMs. He is like the Slade from the Real Housewives of Orange County. He's like John Jansen-ing it well, if I can't get on with Brittany because I don't want to claim her, I guess I'm going to claim Mary because allegedly she's worth $5 million.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, everything.
So Mary's talking about this. Meredith is fighting with Whitney. She storms out. Mary does tell, like, Heather, hello. Like I said, Bronwyn is trying to be your friend. I know you don't believe it, but she is. And then ultimately there's so much pushback on Heather that she's like, well, maybe I am being defensive because these women, we've been through the trenches. Are you for real? Because of Jen Shaw, because of your friend that you were taking up for until she literally got booked in prison. Then you're like, oh, never mind. She punched me and she's a bitch. I don't like her. But before then you were, going to bat for her, like fighting off people for her and hiding her deepest, darkest secrets as she was defrauding the elderly and hiding that she punched you in the face. But okay. And then Monica with her little, blogger accounts on Instagram, her little Finsta account. Is that what we're saying is the trenches? She's like, these women are my friends. I'm not gonna let anything come between us. Oh, so you're becoming territorial, Heather, and you're afraid that Bronwyn's gonna come in and steal your girls? Like she's acting like a scorned pimp or something. Heather, it's weird. It is very weird. It is not our fault or Bronwyn's fault that you have bad taste in friends and that you are now habitually on the wrong side of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City history with this stuff. And you're just coming for Bronwyn now. So then she kind of, maybe I'll give her a chance. Maybe. So then after she doubles down for most of, the episode and this party at Mary's, then she starts to, go and now maybe I'll be neutral with you. Okay. I'm just very scared. And then, Brittany can't let it go. And Brittany's like, what about me? It isn't fair. And Bronwyn's like, bitch, I wouldn't invite you to my trip. You want to know why? Because you said my husband's disgusting. And I bust out laughing because I'm like, what? But Brittany says, I didn't say that. Well, you said that I'm a gold digger. I did say that. And you said that I did say that. She was listing all of these things that Brittany allegedly said about her marriage to the Todd father, to the crotchety old man that goes like this. This is not very becoming of you. I don't like when you show your emotions. And it's like, Brittany, why would Bronwyn invite you to a celebratory trip for 10 years of marriage to Todd when you have all this nasty stuff to say? And the fact that Brittany was like, I did say that. I didn't say it was disgusting, but I did say that you're a hooker and you're a gold digger and Todd's too old and you don't like having sex with him and it's gross and all that. I did say. She lists, but she's like, I still should have been invited. Still, what about me? What's going on? So Heather's, saying she's got PTSD, which she can't bring Bronwyn in. Brittany's saying, oh, I should have been invited even though I hate you and I hate your husband, but I wanted to be on the trip. It's not fair. Mary's like, I wouldn't have went on the trip. I don't want to be on the trip. I just want everyone to shut up. So Meredith storms out. All this happens and the episode is just perfection. It's just literally from beginning to end. It's such a good episode of Housewives, and Salt Lake City is incredible this season. And if you're not watching it, watch it.